What's going on, my favorite YouTube watchers of all time? You guys are awesome, by the way. I just want to say thank you. Sorry, my camera's all fucked up right now. So, side note, I will be working on getting a little dash mount so I don't have to sit here and fucking shake and shit every time I drive. So, basically, viewer request here. Like I was saying, thank you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do, all the comments, all the likes, the subscribes. Love it, guys. You guys are great. Basically, viewer request here, just to go along with our Talking Dirty. He watched the Lly versus LBC video, and he wanted a Lb7 versus Lly. Sorry, I want to make sure I was recording there. So he wanted an Lb7 versus Lly video. Alright, fine with doing that. You know, you guys ask and I will, your wish is my command. So you tell me what you want and I'll try and make it happen. I'm not the best, but I still have some people that I had to show how to take a bed off, you want to know, and you want to know some other wiring stuff. So I have those videos coming. It just, I can't do some of these things like instantly. Basically though, Lb7 versus Lly. So Lb7 is the 2001 to 2004 first model, first style Duramax. LLYs are what I have, which was 2004 and a half to mid 2005, kinda. There's a gray area because there's an LBZ that's considered an LLY because of tuning. We won't go into that. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before on different videos. Maybe not. If you guys want to know, I'll do it. Just let me know. Basically, so the Lb7 first model made it 4 years. Minor changes throughout those 4 years, a little different tuning, a little different setups, basically all the same. And LLY, which really kind of blew my mind, they only lasted a year and a half or a year. They had some issues, but the LBZ, should it be an LLY? I mean, yeah, I guess they just changed the name of it, added a 6-speed transmission. It's basically an LLY, better rods, shittier pistons. And basically, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the differences and the similarities today. So, the first thing I want to mention, we're going to start from the ground up. So, we're going to go start at the bottom because that's where the most similarities are between these two engines. Both have 5-speed Allison 1000 transmissions. I know it's back a little bit, but I just want to let you know, like, driveline's basically the same on these. Starting at the bottom, though, obviously both a 6.6 liter block, you know, whatever a normal Duramax engine block. I'm pretty sure they're all very similar. The crank, rods, and pistons from the Lb7 and LLYs are identical. The piston, I mean the rods is really the biggest thing. We'll start with the crank though. The cranks, so they all have 4-bolt mains, 2 through the bottom, 2 through the sides, like I showed you in my Duramax teardown video, which we're building at Lb7 right now. Four bolt mains on the crank. They all have the dowel pin that holds the harmonic balancer and the reluctor wheel on. All Duramaxes have that up till L5P, I think. I don't know if they even changed on that, but the pins break, and that's one of the big issues with all of the Duramaxes and crankshafts breaking is the pin snaps off, and then your timing's off, and all this shit goes bad, and the balancer's fucked. All right. Anyways, crankshafts are the same. You know, however they make a crankshaft, I don't know, but they're the same. The rods between Lb7 and Lly are identical. They are, they're lighter than the LBZ pistons. I know this is an Lb7 Lly, but we're talking about two similar trucks, and then LBZ is where they changed. And this is why LBZs have better rods. So on a budget build, a lot of people do Lb7 crank, LBZ rods, Lb7 D-lip pistons. And the reason being is, I did some reading on it, and I believe that Lb7 Lly the rods weighed in at 1,123 grams, and the LBZ and newer are 1,170 grams. I might be wrong. I have it on my phone, but obviously I'm driving right now. So something like that. Anyways, they're more meaty, like they're just heavier duty for the newer trucks. So the limiting factor in both Lb7 and LLY, which makes them very similar, is the rods. They both have weak rods, but good pistons. They both have forged pistons, and I believe they're forged. I didn't really read too much on that, but I'm pretty sure they're like, they might be, and there's something like, they're good pistons and they can be pushed pretty far. Anyways, going up, and basically this video is gonna be a lot of similarities at the bottom end. So the compression ratio on Lb7 LLYs are identical. I believe it's 17.5 to 1, and they're the same for both of them, and they're both the highest compression Duramaxes there are. The LBZ and newers were lower, like 16.8 or 16.5 or something to 1. So the Lb7 and LLY, again, similarities. They have the same compression ratio, and on top of that, he's going for it. He's ripping it in that Chevy van, Chevy Express. So now we get to a part where the differences start coming in. So same compression ratio, same bottom end, same, basically up until the heads is where we see the first difference. So now there might be slight differences in the rings or something like that. I don't think so, but there could be. I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, so Lb7 LLY, just to recap, highest compression, weakest rods, and you can see where that would create a problem because more compression, more torque, down low. And so going to the heads, the head design and the head bolts, like the bolt pattern, I believe is the same, but the difference was where the injectors were placed. And the injectors on the Lb7 are internal in the head in injector cups that keep oil out and all that shit. And the LLYs are external injectors that you slide in through the side of the head, kind of almost, I hate saying this, but almost like a spark plug. So, where in Lb7 you actually have to take the entire valve cover off to pull the injectors and change the cups and all that shit. And if you're gonna swap one injector, you might as well do all 4 on that side. Unlike an LLY, you can just pull one out in like 15 minutes, depending where it is. Some take longer, and then you can just like swap one in, good to go, and clean them. For stats on the injectors, I don't really know if there's much of a difference. But basically that's the biggest difference between the heads is external versus internal injectors. And that's a big thing because that turns an injector hour job from 8 hours on an Lb7 to about an hour and a half on an LLY. And that's about how long it took me to do my injectors on this when I changed them. So it is, that's one positive of the LLY. Now the LLYs, and I believe Lb7s, but more so LLYs, had bad heating and cooling, I guess, of the engine, and bad head gasket design. So the LLYs were more prone to overheating and blowing head gaskets. That is like a known downfall, but personally, in my opinion, once the head gaskets are done, the engines are amazing. So moving up a little bit further, I don't know much about the valve train. I'm guessing it's pretty similar. The next big thing is the turbo. So the Lb7s had a fixed vane IHI turbo, and basically I think they were a 61 millimeter fixed turbo, kind of like how you'd see an S300 turbo, or if you know or you're familiar. Basically, it's not electronic. It's one size. It's laggy. It's more laggy than a normal turbo, and but it comes up in power like everything else. The LLYs had a VVT turbo, variable vane turbo, or position turbo, however you want to say it. And they this caused problems because of the quick spool. And the way a VVT turbo works, real quick, is there's basically these flaps inside the exhaust housing. So at low boost, low RPMs, they're closed. So basically, so now you have a hole this big, and as you go up in boost and RPMs, the vanes open and make the housing bigger. So basically, you can create more boost. So if you start with a turbo this big, you know, you're gonna make 5-10 pounds, then you move up to a turbo that's got a 6-inch exhaust housing, or, you know, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but you get the idea. So the vanes open up as you boost, so that way you can have a smoother boost curve instead of like a really hard hit. Come on, dude, turn. Like, what are you doing? So But the thing is, a lot of people say the Lb7 not being a variable vane turbo saved the engines and didn't snap rods because you had low torque input at lower end because you didn't build boost very quick. Where the LOYs, you have quick spool up, and it starts hitting right away. It's a lot faster, and that created problems. Now, read something, and this was interesting to me, is that I read that they say almost every LOY that has any like sort of performance mod on it that's not done correctly, or like not tuned properly, or you beat the balls off it, anything like that, has like bent rods basically. Like they might be slightly bent to where you don't notice it, but they said the rods are so weak with LOYs that the way they work and with the fast spooling boost that almost every LOY has a slight bend in a rod, or all of them, but they're not even noticeable enough to drop compression. So it's one of those things where you just ride it out till it breaks, I guess. You know, I've been running twin turbos for, I want to say almost 15,000 miles now, and I beat the balls off my truck. Dead stops, I race it, whatever, on the highway, red line, whatever you want do, I basically do it. And my truck seems to run fine. A little bit of blow by, but no, it's fine. So the LOYs actually had the largest turbo that ever came on a Duramax to date. I don't know about the L5Vs. From what I know, up to the LMLs, the LOYs had a 63.5mm turbo, and the rest of the Duramaxes had 61mm turbos. So that puts LOYs at the largest turbo, maybe not making the most boost efficiently, but it has the largest turbo. So that's another huge difference, and that really covers the top to bottom engine, like fucking shit, you know, the differences, I guess. They're both the same transmissions, both similar trucks, and like I said, like bottom end basically the same, heads different, turbo different, Y bridge pretty sure the same. Shit, they're both shit. Welded Y bridge is one piece of the way to go. If there's any further questions you guys have on Lb7 versus LOYs, or even the newer trucks, feel free to drop in the comments. I will make more videos if that's what you want. But basically, that for like an Lb7 versus LOY engine wise, that's the difference. Like I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of little things, so like ECM, tuning. The tuning's different, obviously, and from factory, and you know, the fuel injection control module might be different. These are things I don't know. I'm talking about like the hard, like solid moving engine parts and their differences. So that's gonna do it for today's Talking Dirty. It was, I think, a little longer than I anticipated, but that should fill most everything in on your questions of an Lb7. If I missed anything, you guys want any more information or something specific, feel free to drop in the comments. Please thumbs up this video if you like it. Sorry, I said that really weird. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We'll see you guys later with some more videos coming soon. We got some cool builds coming up. So thank you guys. I appreciate all that you do for this channel and all you do for me. I'll see you next time.